I'm back and I'm proud. Say it loud. I'm back and I'm proud. Good rising, big city 101.3 FM. Waking up with Tayla Andre. How are you, darling? It's been a while since I've sung to you. I want to give a shout out to Reggie B. Our condolences. Reggie lost his grandmother, and we're praying for him. And Reggie said she was 87, but it doesn't matter how old she was, Reggie. We know no matter how old she may have been, we all love our elders, and it's always too soon. Always too soon. So our condolences. Hugs from afar. Ooh, I hope you feel better, darling. Whew. And as far as weather is concerned, supposedly we're supposed to have some snow, some wind, they're confused. I'm sick of weather. High of 44 today, low of 34, partly cloudy throughout the day. Wednesday, high of 52, low of 21. AM rain, PM wind. Thursday, high of 36, low of 23. Sunny throughout the day. Friday, high of 36, low of 24. PM snow showers, 40% chance of snow. Saturday, high of 41, low of 28. And Sunday, high of 42, low of 29. Both days, mostly sunny. AM clouds, PM sun. We shall see. As far as traffic is concerned, same pockets that we usually have. Our wife is already down to 28 miles an hour, which is pretty good for this time of the day. We have 16 East down to 11 miles an hour. We have Longwood Avenue down to 10 miles an hour. If you're at that Braintree-Quincy split, coming from the Braintree area, you're down to 40 miles an hour. Some pockets are 32 miles an hour. That Braintree-Quincy split is down to 27. And then coming into the city, you're battling at a 45 mile per hour all the way to the city. So get to where you need to be, get there safely, and no texting and driving, babies. Shout out to Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte said, listen, we have more Black celebrities than we have ever had before, but what are y'all doing with your life right now? There's a lack of political engagement when it comes to y'all Black celebrities. Y'all want everybody to follow you. You want everybody to, take a page out of your book, but what are you doing as far as real life is concerned? I love Harry. Harry has no problem speaking his mind and calling everybody out. I love him for that. And he backed Bernie Sanders. I'm feeling some type of way. Good rising, Hillary. How you doing? I know your counterpart was here today. Harry Belafonte, 88 years old. Can you imagine? 88 years old and he's still fighting like he's 28. He's out here more than the 28-year-olds. And I'm glad he's calling out Black actors and artists and just celebrities in general. Call them out. In other news, scientists, I really hate what's going on in science right now. I'm excited because it means that we're, one step for mankind. And at the same time, this is scary as I don't know what. For all of this technology that's taking place, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to get on a soapbox about DNA, about altering DNA, but scientists sued the New York State Police for forcing them to customize DNA results. 3 scientists have filed a lawsuit against the New York State Police Crime Lab, where they were employees, saying the administration retaliated against them after they discovered that the staff were using outdated DNA evidence tests to get more convictions. Are you serious? Really? Sharon Morris, Melissa Lee, and Kevin Rafferty are seeking unspecified damages in a federal court, reports say. They filed a complaint last week, which they stated that they were retaliated against after they objected to the lab's current DNA test and called for the adoption of more modern and accurate procedures. The agency allegedly refused to acknowledge any flaws in the current system and urged them to keep their mouths shut. The 3 claimed that the police department was not eager to employ the new method, known as the True Ally system, which would guarantee better accuracy. Scientists say that the police were satisfied with the old testing procedures as it reportedly secured more convictions. Of course, we don't want a new testing system, because how many people this year alone, 2016, how many people have we already read in 3 months? Happy March 1st, y'all, in 3 months about people being exonerated for crimes that they didn't commit back in the 60s and 70s. Huh? Nah. We go with the old system. What we need a new system for? That means we got to actually work. That old system works because we get convictions. We get numbers with the old system. This new system, we might actually have to do some work. I have a few friends that say, Tayla, you too hard on the police. Listen, you wanted a job that requires you to be scrutinized on a regular basis. I'm sorry. That wasn't the profession I wanted to go into. You did. And you should be held accountable. Just like judges, just like lawyers. There's a certain standard that we expect when you put on that outfit, when you put on that uniform, when you put on that badge, when you have that gun on your holster. We expect you to hold yourself to some level of accountability, because that we do. But again, cover up, keep your mouth closed. I hope they win all types. And you know, the only way situations like this change is when you hit them where it hurts, in their pocket. Hit them where it hurts, so you can't do this again, so you won't do this again. Let me penalize you where it hurts, because I could sit here and talk to Anari and Asaria all day till I'm blue in the face, but let me take away some video games and they gonna get the picture real quick. My kids would rather have me beat them. Mommy, can you just beat me? No, I'm not gonna beat you. Give me all the electronics, all the game systems. Party done. You have to hit them where it hurts. Actually hold them accountable and have real consequences. Real consequences. In other news, I really want to read this story that we read yesterday about DARPA, because I feel like there were some people that weren't listening yesterday that may be listening today. So really quickly, the U.S. military successfully installed brain modems into animals as part of a project to develop cyborg soldiers who use cerebral implants to control machines. DARPA has successfully tested a brain modem on an animal subject. The military agency is hoping to develop technology that will allow soldiers to use their minds to control things like drones and war zones. The device will let the brain communicate directly to computers. Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA. Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. What else is going on in their research facilities when they're testing animals to see if the animal can control a machine with its brain? And you want to tell me Roswell didn't happen? You want to tell me that they don't have all types of technology that we are completely unaware of? Mind control. Tayla, a conspiracy theorist. Nah, this is real life. This is confirmed reports that I did not make up. The poorest Flint children have been hit the hardest by lead poisoning. We know this to be true, but the most devastated neighborhoods in Flint have been hit the hardest with lead poisoning crisis. New research finds it also points directly to the city's decision to switch to water sources to the Flint River as causing higher lead levels in residents' bloodstreams. Dr. Mona Harris, Atisha, and her team of research compared blood levels of children under 5 in tests taken before the water source changed in 2013 to tests taken in 2015. As the paper with their finding notes, the analysis identified a disadvantaged neighborhoods as having the greatest elevated blood levels. This is not something that is brand new to us. We knew this to be true. Bernie Sanders said on the Breakfast Club last Friday that Flint is not the only town, the only city going through this crisis. We have to take a look at our infrastructure across America. I read a story yesterday about a town in Texas that had oily sludge coming out of the faucet. The tub literally looked like it was filled with oil. I read a story a few weeks back about Prince George County. Forgive me, wrong information, but a parish in Louisiana, Prince George Parish, I believe, in Louisiana. Same thing. Some of the days the water comes out crystal clear. Some of the days the water comes out looking like rust. Other days it comes out looking worse than Flint, Michigan. Flint is not the only city. I had a caller remind me earlier last week that once upon a time in Taunton, Raynham, here in Massachusetts, about 20 years ago, we had a similar crisis take place. And I met an individual who had higher blood levels when she was a child because of the water that she drank. Her mother got, her brain started deteriorating because of the amount of lead that was in the water. You got to think for a second, this is not just one circumstance. This is across America. It happened 20 years ago right here in our own backyard. Is nobody else frustrated? I feel like this is the 1900s, 1920. This doesn't even sound like a 1960s problem, let alone a 2016 problem. But this is what we're dealing with. And the fact that this this ridiculous charade of the presidential election, with all the problems that we have going on in this country, this reality TV of a presidential election is frustrating. It's like, who's taking our problems seriously? Who's taking these issues seriously? This is a freaking circus. U.S. citizen sues federal immigration agency for detaining him for 36 days. You better hit it where it hurts. I hope you get at least $1 billion. What can they afford? How much money do they bring in? How much money do they shell out? And how much money they finna give you? Ricardo Garza, who is a U.S. citizen, had just posted bail at the Grand Prairie Police Department Detention Center after he was charged with driving while intoxicated when a jailer asked him about his citizenship status. I was maybe 3 feet away from breathing fresh air, Garza told the police Tribune, which first reported his story. And the jailer said, "What's your name? What's your birthday? What's your social? Where were you born?" Garza told jail officials that he was born in Mexico, but since has become a citizen of this country. When the jail contacted U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agency to verify his immigration status. However, federal immigration officials weren't so sure about his status. They told the jail that they believed he was an actual U.S. permanent resident whose criminal history could make him eligible for deportation. ICE officials asked the jail to detain Garza using an immigration hold, also known as a detainer, to give them time to pick him up for potential deportation proceedings. Dallas, could you imagine? All my West Indians listening right now, could you imagine? You just came from Unity, you had you a little drink, you weren't drunk, but you had alcohol in your system. They took you to jail because you were in the wrong. I don't drink and drive. You were in the wrong, and then all of a sudden you are held for 36 days, and they're going to send you back to Trinidad. They're going to send you back to St. Lucia. They're going to send you back to Jamaica. Could you imagine? Don't think for a second that this is only happening because he's Mexican. They want all your, every single last one of us gone. And if they could do it, it would happen. 36 days. I hope he sue the pants off them. Get all your money, boo-boo. All of it. There is a man building a computer made of brains. You know what this story reminded me when I read it yesterday? What is that show? Was it the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? The cartoon? And then there was a brain inside of a stomach, and he was like the brains of the operation, but he was only a brain. What show was that? It was like his brain was either inside his stomach or inside somebody else's shoulders, and it was a big, strong man, but it wasn't really him. It was just a brain. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Where them 80s babies at? 617-282-0062. This is what this reminded me of. So you just go and create a supercomputer made out of brains. And guess what? It's a black man, yeah. I don't know. Here goes that creativity we talked about. Google, Facebook, and IBM have all gone in on brain-like computers that promise to emulate the mind of a human. The ability to learn and recognize patterns is viewed as a key to the next step in evolution of Lord, I'm not ready for it. I cannot pronounce his name. He is straight out of Africa. Oshi Orienya Abigadi believes that brain-like processes are missing one key component, actual brains, or at least living neutrons. His startup, Koniku, which was completed in a stint at a biotech accelerator, IndieBio, touts itself as the first and only company on the planet building chips with biological neurons, aka real brains. So while DARPA is trying to put computers into brains, my dude is trying to put brains into computers. He'll be getting a phone call from DARPA real soon to go ahead and emulate them both. Koniku is funding towards a first round goal of $6.3 million. It has already landed customers in aviation, pharmaceuticals. Aviation and pharmaceuticals. Let's think for a second. What could these computers with brains do in the pharmaceutical department? Just think for a second. I don't want you to be a conspiracy theorist, my dear. I want you to be an outside the box thinker, because this is what's going on outside of your world. Outside of your box, other people are thinking outside the box. That's exactly why I just read the story about chips that are being implanted into brains so that brains can control computers. I don't want you to be a conspiracy theorist. I want you to be a realist and stop thinking that everything is just a science fiction movie. I want you to really think about what the hell is going on out here. The mark of the beast, 666, a chip in your hand, a chip in your brain. Hello? I'll talk to myself. That's perfectly fine. As long as you are worried or thinking about something or considering. KKK members involved in the California brawl acted in self-defense, say the police, not according to reports, but say the police. Members of the KKK who were arrested after a brutal beatdown Saturday were released because they acted in self-defense, said the police. 5 KKK members were released, but 7 other people remained in custody because they were seen beating, stomping, and attacking the Klansmen with wooden posts. The clash was reported initiated by a larger group of 10 to 12 protesters who had the intent of perpetrating violence after 6 Klan members arrived at a park for a planned anti-immigration rally. Pause. Okay, pause. Do we have any legal gurus that are currently listening right now? Danny Osino, where are you when I need you most? My question is, how is the KKK, which is a hate group, how is the KKK holding any type of rally, first of all? Because it's a hate group. When did hate groups have rights? First of all, and then they're a Christian organization, for those who didn't know, and they're also a nonprofit organization for others who didn't know about that. I have a lot of questions here. How does a hate group just get to protest and have rallies? Because if I say I hate aliens.com, let's go protest. I want to send all the aliens back to space. I'm just using aliens because I don't want people to take their little soundbite like Tayla hate Asians or Tayla hate white people. Tayla hates aliens, so we'll say that. I hate aliens. I want them all to go back to outer space. Let's get rid of them. Like, that's hate speech. How do I just get to protest freely? I'm not saying I'm glad they got beat down, but I'm just saying that sometimes things happen for a reason. I'm going to just leave that there. We have callers on the line, 617-282-0062. Good Rising Caller, you're live. Hey, Hillary.
How are you?
You don't sound excited. Wake up, Hillary. How you doing?
I'm battling a cold, so.
Oh, when 2 or more touch and agree in the name and the blood of the Lamb, you are healed.
I I just wanted to give you the information on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
not an 80s baby. I'm a 70s baby. But the name of it was, his name was Krang.
There it is. There it is.
Body and left only with his brain, and it was inside the stomach cavity of his suit.
You know what? You know a lot. Did you Google that or you just remember?
I remember it, but I had to Google it because I didn't remember the name, but I remember his shoulders was broad, and then he was walking around, and all you see is the brain inside his stomach. I remember that because I used to love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Well, that made two of us. Amen. Yes. You know, and
you promote to go out and vote today.
Baby, what you think Power Hour is? What do you think Power Hour is?
Vote. Vote. Tell them vote before they go to work or vote after they get off of work. There's no excuse. Please exercise your right to vote.
Amen. She telling the truth. We got another call on the line. Good Rising Caller, you're live.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm well.
You know what's interesting? There's a meme out there. It says Trump supporters, racist bigots, but in line to vote. And then it has Democratic non-voters in front of a Jordan sneaker launch line. And
I saw that. That was absolutely ridiculous, but it's 100% true.
But the irony is, the African Latinos and African Americans in this country, the least likely to be protected by the law are the ones who don't vote. And the same thing that I hear them say is, well, it's not going to change anything. So let me get this right. You'll stay in line for a pair of sneakers that are going to, be done in 2 years as opposed to your rights. Like, I love my people, but truthfully, if we had some racial cleansing, I think we would get a lot more done. Because the KKK can only kill so many of us, but the ninjas in this race are killing us by the millions. I really think if we got rid of all the ninjas, we would be able to do a lot more against the racist KKK and the Trump. But when you have the enemy within, it's like you're fighting at both ends.
So
don't vote. They don't do anything. They're shiftless, lazy. I mean, and then it's like they'll be the first one to go get their food stamps or go get their assistance. My thing is this: if you don't vote, you should be cut off with all assistance and live on the street.
You know what? That is Mr. Nubian. He is free to have his opinion, like you are free to have yours. If you don't agree or if you do agree, all you have to do is call 617-282-0062. How do I feel about that? We're going to spend the next hour talking about it. How about that? The next hour, Power Hour, discussing exactly why it's important to vote. And not only that, we have two amazing women of Boston, of the Commonwealth, here in the building. So before we get to that, there's a story that I read that is aggravating me to my core. And the reason why is because nobody has the answer, Sway. How did a California couple on a date end up fatally shot by police? Now, reports make absolutely no sense. On Sunday, February 21st, Keisha Michael and Marquinton Sandin had finished their date. According to family, they pulled off the road to take a nap. Question, why did they take a nap? These are two grown people, two adults with a house. I have my own speculations. I'm going to leave that there. California police responded to a call about a suspicious vehicle around 3 a.m. Very little information has been released as to what happened next, but according to Inglewood Mayor James Butts, police arrived and found the couple unconscious in the car. The officers retreated, isolated the vehicle, and spent about 45 minutes attempting to rouse the occupants and de-escalate the situation. Question. Still doesn't make sense, because if they pulled over to the side of the road to take a nap, they were unconscious. Why did it take 45 minutes to attempt to wake them up, yet de-escalate the situation? Police say police say that Michael had a gun, but was not confirmed whether the gun was found at the scene. What do you mean it wasn't confirmed that, This was February 21st. It was a week ago. Y'all still don't know if the gun was found on the scene or not? Obviously, at some point, they were conscious because somebody felt threatened, said the mayor, a retired law enforcement officer who was previously served as police chief in other cities, but is now the mayor of Inglewood. According to reports, a total of 7 children survived the 2 victims. Michael was a single mother of 3 sons, and Sandelin was a single father of 4 daughters. Both families have demanded an explanation and expressed frustration. Police aren't telling us nothing. Trisha Michael's twin sister, told the reports, and Sandelin's sister told reports that her brother was a loving father and all he cared about was his girls and getting them right. Both families say they don't know how or why or if either one of their loved ones had a gun, but they said that they believe law enforcement could have de-escalated the situation. They could have brought those parents home to all 7 of those babies. They have crisis counselors, tear gas, bean bags, community activists, and Pastor Eddie Jones told news stations all kinds of things besides deadly force could have taken place. The reason why I don't like this story is because it doesn't make sense. Because the report says that they were shot while unconscious, but then the man's like, well, somebody was conscious at some time. Question? Really quickly, woman 31 years old who tried to self-abort with a coat hanger at 24 weeks will not face attempted murder charge. She's 31 years old. She will not face attempted murder charge for trying to self-abort with a coat hanger when she was pregnant. Her attorney said prosecutors may bring a new indictment before the grand jury. Last year, she tried to self-abort with a coat hanger in a bathtub of water. It is not that serious, baby. It is not. But this took place in Texas, and guess what? They took away a lot of those family plannings out there. So where she could have received help to, properly abort this child, not everybody has access. We do have a call on the line, 617-282-0062. Good rise and call you live.
Good morning.
Hey, Miss G.
I was just listening to you tell the story about Ingleside, California. And I was trying to wonder what they were trying to de-escalate.
De-escalate the situation. Like, what were they trying to de-escalate if the couple was unconscious?
And also, was the car running or when they found them or?
Listen, I have searched multiple reports, and the same report looks like it was copy and pasted on many sites. So the report that I just read this rising is the report that I read 4 days ago. Nothing has changed. No new information, nothing, Miss G.
That's unusual for them not to do an investigation because that was suspicious circumstances. I don't get that one.
A lot of people don't. The family doesn't as well. A lot of people are confused about this story, but it is what it is. If we go back to the New York State Police story where they were like, listen, we don't need a new system. We like the one we have. It gets us convictions. Of course. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss G. I love and appreciate you. All right, baby. So today is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. We have the most amazing Sonia Chang Diaz in the building. Good rising, good rising. She is the 2nd Suffolk District Senate representative and the first Latina to hold this position. Again, it's 2016. Why do we still have first? Because we have to take over everything. That's why, because we still have a lot of ground that we have yet to cover. Good rising, my queen. How are you?
Good morning, Tayla. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. So we are here with you this rising to discuss the importance of voting, to discuss the importance of why today is that day that we need to get out.
You're on the right topic. You are on the right topic. There's lots of good reasons. Not least of which is that we have a really important, impactful decision before us as an electorate about who's going to be the next executive leader of this country. If that weren't enough, right? That's a big old question, but if that weren't enough, this is an opportunity for our communities to get out there and continue to build power and continue to build influence, make sure that we are turning out big numbers in communities of need, in communities of color, in urban communities, so that the system as a whole continues to pay attention to us as neighborhoods.
Why do you feel like, as of now, so it's always important for us to get out, for us to vote, for our voices to be heard, but why more than anything is it most important now?
Well, I think sometimes that voters suffer from fatigue of hearing, right? This is the most important election ever of your lifetime, or in modern history. And I at risk of, I want to be clear, there's no reason people should not make it to the polls today. But look, every election is important, and I'm not gonna make the case that this is the most important election people will ever face in their lifetime. This is the work of citizenship, and folks need to turn out again and again and again, right? And it doesn't get the job done to just turn out once and say, oh, I did my civic duty, I did the right thing for my neighborhood. People have got to show up every time we have an election. That said, it is not common that Massachusetts is really in play in a presidential election. Usually we're always trucking our people up to New Hampshire to influence things there. And this is a rare occasion, at least in my political memory, where there's really tight contests going on in Massachusetts. And we really stand to make a difference in the delegate count and the electoral college count for the presidential election.
So for those who don't understand the electoral process, could you help us understand this?
Yeah. So usually Massachusetts is just not considered a swing state, as people know, right? We're sort of a deep blue Democratic state. But in this instance, both the Democratic primary and the Republican primary, I'm here to advocate for people strongly to pull a Democratic ballot when they go to the polls today. But if that's not your flavor, we have contested elections in both the Democratic and the Republican primary. So again, every election you vote makes a difference, and people should not fool themselves into thinking otherwise. When I got into office, I won by 213 votes. And when you break that down by precinct, that's the difference of between 2 and 3 votes per precinct, right? So if too fewer people had showed up in each of the precincts that I represent, it would have been a different outcome in that election. And that's not even the closest election that I know of. So candidates would not go to the crazy great lengths. I'll walk up a hill with 50 steps, and I don't even know if you're home, to knock on your door and try and talk to you and find out what motivates you as a voter and turn you out as a voter, because your vote makes a difference for me as a candidate. So please, folks should never fool themselves into thinking, oh, it's just 1 in a million votes, it never makes a difference.
So, all right, 1 in a million votes does make a big difference. 200 and how many?
213.
213. That number will always follow you.
That's right.
You might even have a tattoo of that.
Maybe. I don't have a tattoo of that, but if I ever did, I might think about that.
What about people who are looking at the candidates, and right now it looks like a reality show? It's a joke, like a lot. I feel like everybody is laughing at the United States right now. And what if you see these candidates and you're like, I like the way you said, it's not my flavor. Nobody's your flavor. Like, Bernie is too far on one spectrum for you. Donald is too far on the other spectrum for you. And Hillary, you just don't trust her because of the Benghazi situation. You may not know much about the Benghazi situation. You just know you don't trust Hillary.
Yeah. Well, there's so many issues in there to unpack. But I would say, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I watch the Republican debates, I feel embarrassed, right, as an American, and I think a lot of people do have that sentiment right now, whether they're feeling that on themselves or people from the rest of the world looking at the United States saying, "What the heck is going on there?" And I heard you saying this earlier on the radio, and as I was driving in, and it made me think, look, this is actually a moment where I think that the Democratic Party really needs to get out there and make the case of, look at what you see on that debate stage, right? When you watch the Republican primary debates, and then look at what you see on our debate stage when you look at the Democratic debate. Those are two serious people who are speaking in a respectful, serious way about the future of the United States in a substantive way, in a knowledgeable way. And you might not, agree with Hillary on everything. You might not agree with Bernie on everything. I don't agree with each of them on everything. But they're serious people who are taking these issues seriously. And I just think that it is a moment of stark contrast between what the Republican Party has to offer right now and what the Democratic Party has to offer.
It's still scary because it's like the lesser, well, we've always been choosing the lesser of two evils, but now it's just like the lesser of evil.
Well, I'm going to be unabashedly partisan on this one. That I had that reaction when I look at the Republican primary debate.
Mm-hmm.
But when I listen to Bernie and Hillary, and look, I'm with Hillary. I know you're with Bernie, right? So we can get into that. But I love a lot of what Bernie has to say, right? And I have tremendous respect for both of those candidates. I don't think of that as a choice of the lesser of two evils. I felt really good when I had to confront the decision of was I going to be a Hillary person or a Bernie person. I felt like I had two really good options to choose from.
And you went with Hillary.
I did.
We have a caller that we call Hillary because she is a Hillary supporter to the fullest. So you and Hillary might have some things in common. I'll just stay on the back porch for now. We do have a caller on the line, 617-282-0062. Good rising, caller, you're live.
I'm up here listening, and I'm saying to myself, I'm gonna keep it real. I think I'm gonna have to hold my nose and go vote for Hillary, because there's no candidates that I'm really interested in as far as voting. But it's my right. But I don't think there's any Democrat that I'm interested in really voting for, Republican or Socialist. So I just called.
Thank you, Miss G, for you. Keep it real. I don't want you to keep it any other way.
If Mitchie's still on the line, I'm curious to ask Mitchie what are you looking for in a candidate? Because no one wants to feel like they're holding their nose when they go to the polls.
Miss G, we don't have Miss G anymore. Period. That's a great question. What are you looking for in a candidate? Anybody, all of you who are currently listening, YouTube, whoever's watching, hit me up on Facebook, TaylaAndre. What are you guys looking for in a candidate? One of the things that I'm looking for, let me say the reason why Bernie is rubbing me the right way is because he's talking about all of the things that I want to hear. As somebody who's currently in debt, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, education, state education to be free. There's no reason why we have to spend all this money on education. The prison industrial complex, the fact that we have so many corporations in bed with one another for themselves and not for the people. The fact that Hillary Clinton works very closely and her chief of staff is a ex-Monsanto lobbyist. I can't stand the fact that Monsanto had the nerve and the right and the ability to take a vice chair, put them in the FDA, switch some laws around, and then go right back to Monsanto. And this is the food that we're eating. This is New York just did a study about the chemicals that they've been spraying in parks. All of these are Monsanto products that Hillary has been paid by this company for. That's a little too close for comfort for me.
So let's get into it, right? Why did I choose Hillary? As I said before, I love a lot of what Bernie Sanders has to say, right? I love to listen to him. I'm glad he's out there bringing his message. I think he's saying a lot of important things about income inequality, as I also hear coming from Senator Clinton. The reason, and I decided relatively late in this campaign, right? I've written a little bit about this recently, that sort of friends on both sides of me in the Democratic arena have been a little bit surprised with me this campaign cycle, that some of my sisters in arms in politics earlier in the primary season were kind of giving me this look like, come on, why aren't you with Hillary yet? And then more recently, since I decided that I was going to stand with Hillary, some of my some other people have said, I'm surprised. I would have pegged you for a Bernie person, right? Isn't Bernie the more progressive candidate? So I've surprised both people. So I didn't, I'm really excited, Taylor. I'm gonna be honest with you, especially as we're here on the first day of Women's History Month. I'm really excited and motivated by the prospect of breaking that glass ceiling and having the first female president. But I wanted to make sure that was not the only reason I was going to be with Hillary, and I really wanted to do my homework because, well, that's an important motivator for me. I wanted to make sure it wasn't the only reason. And so I really did some looking and digging, even though I've sort of, been in the political space and watched Hillary work for, a couple decades now, like the rest of America. I think a lot of people, we all think we know Hillary Clinton without really digging into her record. So I wanted to do my homework. And what I came up with was this. She gets things done, right? I think Hillary is a workhorse and not a show horse. And that is what I'm really looking for in the next president of the United States. And the more that I have been in government and in organizing and in activism, the more I have come to believe, and I would have said this before this presidential cycle, that having the best ideas is not the hardest thing, right? Implementing is the hardest thing. Getting results on your ideas is the hardest thing. So even though I really like what Bernie has to say, I hear Hillary saying a lot of it too. She says it in different words and different tone. But the bottom line idea is I think there's a ton of overlap between the two candidates. And what I see in Hillary's record is a record of buckling down and doing that hard work of organizing and coalition building and finding those in-between spaces where people aren't shouting at each other, or maybe they were shouting at each other, but you can get them in a quiet room around a table and actually bang out some solutions and get things done. And I think we saw this, most notably in the 90s when she was given this, this enormous assignment of what we affectionately or not affectionately have come to call Hillary care, right? Preceding Obamacare by nearly a generation. And it failed in Congress, right? It got stonewalled by Congress and by the insurance industry. And that was a huge blow, right? Most people, you or I might have said, look, we fought it hard, we lost that one, let's go work on something else. And she didn't do that. She dug in and came back and took another run at it, worked with Senator Kennedy, worked with Republicans across the aisle to figure out what else can we get done in this space. And they got done the Children's Health Insurance Program, which is, not talked about in this glamorous way, but preceded Obamacare by more than a decade and reduced the number of uninsured children in America by half, right? 8 million kids in America are getting health insurance now under this program that Hillary Clinton, when the chips were down, she got knocked down in Congress, right? Hillary Care was sort of the butt of everyone's joke. And she came back and she just sort of picked herself up, dusted herself off, and kept working at it and got a really, really important result for the kids of America. That's the kind of sort of discipline and just unglamorous result getting that I'm looking for. And whoever is the next president is going to have to deal with that, right? They're going to have to deal with a deeply divided Congress, a deeply divided nation. And as much as I love what Bernie has to say, I know that it's going to take, more than inspiring words at rallies to actually convert those ideas into results. And that's where I think Hillary really has the edge.
So I did have some questions, but we do have a caller on the line, 617-282-0062. Senator Sonia Chang Diaz in the building. First day of Women's Month. What an awesome way to kick it off. I hope you guys are going out to vote today. Really quickly, do you know the Massachusetts law as far as voting is concerned? You're allowed to leave work in
terms of sort of if your employer doesn't want to give you time?
Yes.
You've caught me in a moment of shoot, I got to go back and study up on this one. So what I want to do, Tayla, because I know there are some provisions and people should feel that they have protected time and space to do this. So when I get into the office later today, I'm going to make sure, and I want to tell people wrong on the radio this morning and have them go and tell their boss something that isn't correct, and have them get in trouble on my account. So I'm going to call back later today once I get in the office and look this up.
Okay.
And tell you the letter of the law.
So we'll have the letter of the law as far as voting is concerned. I'll post that on the Wake Up with Taylor Andre page, and I'll make sure I'll send it to Val Beats for those that listen after the Wake Up with Taylor Andre show. Good rising, caller, you're live.
Bonjour, it's me again.
Hey, Hillary, I hope you're feeling better.
I am. I'm working on it, but I wanted to say good rising to Miss Sonia Diaz, Senator Sonia Diaz.
Good morning.
I want to kind of piggyback off of what you were talking about. As you can see, President Barack Obama, he has a lot of great ideas, and he's implemented a lot. And I think during his 2 terms, everybody, they don't really look at what he's really done. The mess that he inherited and all the stuff that he has done, for all the stuff that people are denying him to do. So you can have a great idea, and if you get at least 5 things done within your presidency in 4 years, you've done a great feat, because there are people across the board that just will shut it down. They have no merit, no meat on why they don't want it to go through. They just don't, because that's how they operate. That's how the government operates. But if you can get something done, and I really appreciate that you're saying, because Bernie, he says all the stuff that you want to hear, but it sounds good. But you try to get that bill passed to have free education, and you're going to see what you're going to get. You're not going to get it. The figures don't add up. We always are going to have a deficit, but that free education is a pipe dream. So he can say yes, because it sounds good. I would have loved to have free education without debt, but that is not the American way. And somewhere, if you was to get that, something else would suffer.
There is no such thing as a free lunch. You're absolutely right.
So something will suffer, and it may not be that year, but down the line, this is why our deficit is so high, because trying to get certain things done cuts into other things. So when you go out to vote, you just make sure you exercise your right to vote, no matter who you vote for, but know that it does matter. Your vote counts.
Thank you, Hillary Clinton. We thoroughly appreciate you.
Absolutely. And, a word on education, and look, I think we need to be aggressive and, put forth a really aggressive proposal with respect to access to higher education and bringing down the cost of education, whether it's, totally free or whether it's, payments in proportion to the pay that you're making once you get out and you graduate. I think there's a range of proposals that are reasonable proposals. I wouldn't be averse to making a play for free. But, as the caller said, right, that we got to pay for it one way or the other. But I think there are options of how we can do that as a country. But one of the things that this was when I was doing my homework that really stood out for me with Hillary Clinton is her position on early education. And look, we got to do it right along the whole spectrum. But if I had to pick one place on the education spectrum where I would focus, my political fire to get it done, is on the early education end of the spectrum, where we get our biggest bang for our buck as a society. We know it as parents, right? That if we need to do everything we can, move mountains to get our kids started on the educational path early and in a quality place, because if you don't have a strong foundation to build your house on, the rest of it
will crumble.
Will crumble, exactly. So her position on early education, second to none, right? Even up against Bernie's. Love what Bernie has to say about other things, but on early education, Hillary walks away with the prize, absolutely. And I think this is an issue that she understands in her bones, because she has been an advocate for the interests of children, particularly low-income children, for a decade. I mean, before anyone knew the name Hillary Clinton, before anyone knew the name Bill Clinton, right? When she got out of law school, she could have worked at any prestigious law firm. She was editor of Yale Law Review. She went to work for the Children's Defense Fund. And so this is an issue that she understands in her bones, in her DNA, and she's put forth a really unabashed plan that Congress needs to, and as president, she would go to bat for this, I really believe it, be a partner with the states in funding universal access to high quality early education. And I might get the numbers a little bit wrong, and I'll look it up to make sure. But I think the benchmark that she said was that for every 4-year-old in the country to have access to high quality early education by the end of 10 years. right? And 10 years is not an insignificant amount of time. But I mean, look, if you look at our mayor here in Boston, he set a threshold of, I think he said doubling the number of seats of preschool in the city of Boston by the end of his first term. That's an aggressive goal. Imagine doing that for the whole country, right? But she set that benchmark, and I really, that is a very, very meaningful marker for her to lay down in my book. So that's another of the big reasons why I vote for Hillary, is that she gets early education in her bones. And then the last, I'll say it, it makes me really mad that when I look at the slate of candidates that are being taken seriously as presidential contenders this year, if Hillary sounded, as much as I like listening to Bernie, if Hillary sounded like Bernie, if she sounded like Donald Trump, God forbid, if she sounded like Ben Carson, she would have never been taken seriously as a presidential contender. If she had the career resume of Marco Rubio, who I think is a talented guy, but first-term senator, she would not have been taken seriously. If she were as widely disliked by her colleagues as Ted Cruz, never would have been taken seriously. And I think that's a really important sign for us to pay attention to, right? Like, that really makes me mad that she, like the old ad, she's had to do it backwards and in heels to receive the same credit as the men in the field. And that makes me know that we need to break this glass ceiling, right? So that we as a country can start taking full advantage of the talents of over half of our population.
We have some questions on the line. 617-282-0062. Good rising, calling you live.
Good rising, Taylor. Hello?
Yes, it's you.
Good morning to Sonia Diaz. I really appreciate you on the radio this morning.
Good morning.
You came here to shine the light on us. I appreciate your time. America, we living in a nice country called United States. What Bernie Sanders is saying, he even himself knows that it's unrealistic. So we should not waste our time going vote for this guy, because he knows that Congress will not let these things happen. America was built on rich being rich and poor being poor. That's period. You want to move up to the middle class, you need to work hard to move up to the middle class. Anyone that thinks that they're going to stay at home for the government to give them a handout, keep doing that.
Pause, because every single last one of my listeners want to choke you right now. Do you know how many people bust their behinds every single day, wake up at the crack of dawn, go home in the middle of the night, don't get to spend the time they want with their children, whether they are employees or whether they're entrepreneurs? There are people who bust their behinds to attempt to be the middle class that still are nowhere close to the middle class. And if you really take a look at your finances, you're not too middle class yourself. You may own a few homes. You might live outside of the city. You come into the city to work, but there are plenty of people out here that are not sitting at home collecting welfare checks that want to become a part of the middle class. There are people out here that are hardworking that are still not being heard, that are still not making ends meet. So I will not allow you to, I feel like that's disrespectful to a lot of the listeners to say that they want to be a part of the middle class, but they're not doing anything with their life. So I respectfully disagree with what it is you had to say. But I do thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. We have another caller on the line. And we have to quickly wrap up because our time flew by.
Yes, it flies.
Good rising, caller. You're live. Yes, it is.
Tayla?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you checking that dude right now, because he just went off and he don't really know what he's talking about. And I appreciate you doing that. But back to Hillary Clinton. I understand all these women want to vote for Hillary Clinton. And most of them want to vote for Hillary Clinton because they want her to be the first woman president. There's nothing going to change. All I'm saying is, with Hillary Clinton as president, there's nothing going to change. Bernie's trying to change the system. The whole system needed to change. Hillary Clinton is not going to change the system. She want to continue Barack Obama's agenda, and there's nothing going to change. She's in bed with the big bag. She's in bed with all the corporations, and there's nothing going to change. Bernie is the one who pushed Hillary Clinton to the left. Hillary Clinton is she's going to the left now because Bernie makes her go to the left. That's not what she wanted to do.
So,
And that's my time.
caller,
Thank you.
can I just, again, I'm not sure if caller, if you're still on the line, but I heard you say two things that I want to try and reconcile, right? One is that she wants to continue the agenda of Barack Obama, which I think she's been really explicit about. And then that she's in bed with the banks. And I wonder what is the evidence that you see of that latter, right? Because I don't think Barack Obama is in bed with the banks, right? I'm pretty pleased with the Barack Obama agenda. I don't agree with everything, right? Just like I don't 100% of the time agree with Hillary Clinton. I don't 100% of the time agree with Bernie Sanders. But looking at the total package, I would be very pleased if we could continue the Barack Obama agenda for another 4 or 8 years. And I see Hillary Clinton as a steward of that, as a standard bearer for that. So I'm having trouble reconciling the two parts of what you had to say.
Well, with the Barack Obama agenda, I mean, I should have cleared that up. Not everything. There's a lot of stuff that Hillary Clinton want to continue, and I don't agree with that. And Hillary Clinton is taking money from the big banks. Same thing Barack Obama did. So you take money from the banks, you're gonna have to owe these guys. You owe these guys. These guys gonna come and collect.
So let me push you on that, right? That's an argument that I hear people make, and it's not crazy, right? And I know there's a lot of cynicism about the political system, but I'll put myself out there as an example and go into an issue space that Tayla and I had talked about before on the air, which is charter school policy, right? People could look at my campaign contributions. And I think what you mean when you say she's taking money from the banks is that she's taken, speaking fees or campaign contributions from folks who work on Wall Street. True, right? And thank God we have a campaign finance system, which is not at all perfect. And it's one of the things I like that Bernie talks about, right? Citizens United totally messed up. We got to change that. But at least we have a campaign finance system where you and I can go online and see exactly who's giving money to whom. So we can see, right, that Hillary's taking money from all kinds of different people for her campaign, not just banks, but including banks. I, in my campaign, have received contributions from people who work at charter schools, for lobbyists for charter schools. And in my campaign, I've also received contributions from teachers who are members of teachers unions, parents of students in the charter system, parents of students in the district system. And so people could, sort of look at my campaign finance list and cherry pick and say, oh, well, she's taking money from charter school supporters. She's going to be in the pocket of the charter movement. Or, oh, she's taking money from teachers unions. She's going to be in the pocket of teachers unions. I have voted for and against the positions of both of those groups over time. And I try and really be transparent about my positions, and I justify them. I say, look, if you want to donate to my campaign, God bless you. I appreciate your support, but this is what I stand for. So I hope that when people look at Hillary Clinton's record and they say, look, she's taking money from folks on Wall Street, what are the folks on Wall Street getting for that money, right? What do we see in her record that bothers us about that?
So we no longer have that caller on the line, but these are things to think about. And I wish we could keep you here longer.
I always wish I could stay longer.
I wish we could keep you here longer. Is there any way, it's Women's Month, is there any way we can have you back? We can talk a little bit more about your position, where you stand. We'll still have some more questions. We'll still be, maybe we'll have the numbers by then. We'll see what Massachusetts is looking like, and we can then hopefully try and sway Tayla not to vote for Bernie. Not going to happen.
Later today, you mean?
No. Later in the month.
Later in the month. Because I'm saying, today is your day to decide about who you're going to vote for.
I already decided.
But later in this month, this is a brutal month, just to give people some insights into what's going on in the legislature. By the end of this month, and in all of the committees, but my committee is the Education Committee, we have to basically have decided on all of the bills that are before us, what recommendation we're going to make to the House and the Senate as a whole. And plus, as you know, in the Senate, we have this special project going on of trying to draft a compromise charter reform bill in order to get something through where it stalled in the last session. So as much as Women's History Month, I would love to talk about the ladies all day long and all month long with you, but I just don't want to promise because I don't know what the calendar
Because we have to allow you to let change take place.
That's right. But if it is, if there's any daylight in the calendar or we can squeeze it in, I would love to do it. So let's you and I be on email with one another and compare some, look at the calendar and see what we can.
Absolutely.
And if it's not in March, then soon.
Okay, that works for us. Can I make one suggestion?
Yeah.
As far as education is concerned, we need civics back in schools.
Amen. It is actually already, this was a surprise to me. It is actually already in the Massachusetts
It's a core,
law.
what is it? Core, what's the name? It's in one of the core, I can't even think of the name right now.
It is required in the Massachusetts curriculum that students must receive civics education before they graduate. Many school systems are not, I think, probably aware of that requirement in the law or following it.
Who do we get to sue?
It's not, I don't, this is, sometimes a lawsuit is the right course of action. In this particular case, I don't think it's out of, intentional, malice or bad intention that schools and school districts aren't doing this. I, as a legislator and as a social studies teacher, a former social studies teacher, was surprised to find that it already is in state law that civics must be taught. So I think this is a problem of educating the educators, right, and educating school district leaders that this is something that is already a requirement and that we need to sort of re-anchor ourselves to. But right now, it is already the case that the social studies, so in Massachusetts, the math MCAS counts for graduation, the English language arts MCAS counts for graduation. Just recently, we phased in the science test account, and the next one to be phased in is going to be social studies. And so the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is working right now on refining and finalizing that assessment. And so I think that's our point of leverage to make sure that civics is included in the assessment, because what you measure is what you're going to do. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you so much. That is Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, first Latina to hold that position.
Please go vote. Please go. And like on the radio this morning, time flies. So the day is going to fly by. So listeners, please, think right now in a concrete way about what time am I going to go vote, right? How am I going to work it in with getting the kids to school, picking them up, getting food on the table? Find a time in your day when you can get it done. Polls are open until 8 p.m. Open at 7, close at 8 p.m. If you're not sure where your polling station is, you can go to wheredoivotema.com and put in your address, and it'll tell you your voting location. If you need help getting to the polls, I'm sure any of the campaigns would be happy to help you get to the polls. And if you're really stuck, I encourage folks to call my office, 617-722-1673, and we will help you make sure you find a way to get to the polls.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, waking up with Tayla Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. And we have a very special guest on the line right now, Ayanna Presley, who is a member of Boston City's council. She is the first woman of color to be elected to the council in its 105-year history. When I tell you Women's Month kicked it off beautifully, I love it. Absolutely love it. Good rising, my queen. How are you?
Good morning. Blessed to be waking up with you, and I don't really feel like a guest. I feel like I'm just back at home. So back with you.
Hey, hallelujah. Ashe, ashe. So I don't know if you were listening, but we had Senator Sonia Chang Diaz in the building with us earlier. We were talking about.
Pass the mic to you, Ayanna.
She said she's going to pass the mic to you, Ayanna. We were in here talking about Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, getting out to vote and just educating the listeners on why it's so important to vote.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, in some ways I feel, I can't believe that in 2016 we still have to make the case for why people should make their voices heard at the ballot box. Here, as an at-large Boston City Councilor, I have to say I'm always impressed by the civic engagement and the activism here, not just on election day, but year-round. I'm thinking even just last night I was at the Bowling Building at a subcommittee meeting for the citywide parent council. Shout out to those folks on trauma. And it's an issue I've been working on for a long time. We were talking about the impact of trauma on schools and learning in our communities. and it was packed, so, this is what we do. We show up, we participate, and I'm asking you to do that today, and it's really less about showing up for a candidate. You're really showing up for yourself, to make your own voice heard and to ensure that the things that matter most to you will be advanced. But I do understand that there's a lot that we have to do to make it easier for people to participate. The senator spoke about figuring out in your day when you can go. I mean, I'm so excited that in 2016 in Massachusetts for the first time, although not for the primary, but in the general election, we will have early voting in Massachusetts. So people will have, 11 days to vote. So, we've got to continue to do our part to make voting more accessible and more convenient. And we also, in government have to restore people's faith in the role and the meaningful impact that government can play in their lives.
Really quick question. How do you believe these candidates can win us over currently? May I ask do you know who you're voting for?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm supporting Secretary Clinton.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go on. It's hard because, I'm jealous that I couldn't be in the studio with you. But, folks know I had a fall and I'm on crutches right now. So I'm nursing my knees. So because I'm not in studio with you, I can't anticipate when you're going to ask a question, Tayla. So please.
It's okay. It's okay. When two or more agree, listeners, we got to go ahead and send those healing spirits to City Councilor at Large Ayanna Pressley. One of the questions I wanted to ask is how can, a lot of people don't trust Hillary right now. How can we grow into learning to trust her again? Because, there's growing support for Hillary. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that are in her corner that's gunning for her right now. And to have, two respected, notable, yourself, as well as Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, saying I'm voting for Hillary. I can imagine that the impact that may make on the constituents, the listeners. How can we, expect Hillary to gain our trust again after so many people feel like they lost the trust, not only through some of her past mistakes, but even her husband's mistakes with his 3 strikes law and, many Latino and Black men being incarcerated at astronomical rates?
So let me just say this. So one, I think, voting is a very personal choice. And, I'm sharing my personal choice, one that was arrived at after much contemplation, because, I was not opposed to her, but I was indifferent. I respected her achievements and her contributions, but I was really just ambivalent, indifferent about her. And I was in a meeting, a very intimate meeting with her, and I was impressed with her understanding the intersectionality of issues, and that she could clearly sort of unpack the interplay of the disparities and inequities, across social lines, political lines, racial lines. As a person, as an elected official, as a voter, I don't lend my sweat equity, my time, and I have traveled the country as a surrogate for Secretary Clinton. I would not lend, one of the greatest things my mother gave me and my daddy gave me is my name, and I want to keep that name good. So I would not enter into anything, any cause or any candidate casually. She converted me. So I understand why folks are cynical, but I have to acknowledge that a lot of my cynicism was in that I had been infected and affected by decades of targeting and malignment and mischaracterizations of her. She has been one of the most misunderstood, maligned, and targeted characters in American, figures in political history. And all of that sort of white noise was getting in the way of me really looking at her and looking at the totality of her and actively listening to her. And I have to say, as an elected official myself, I do know and have been victim to the fact that in politics, oftentimes perception is the only truth. You know, I know what it is to be misunderstood because people are making judgments about you based upon a single vote or a soundbite, not within the context of a greater policy record or of a speech. So if you want to ask, more specific questions, I'm happy to get into that. But at the end of the day, I am, casting my vote for her. This is a very personal decision. I hope others will consider her. But, I believe I owe the families that I work with that are struggling with food insecurity, with lost wages, violence in their communities. I mean, that's one of the chief reasons is that I want someone that's been steadfast in their commitment to stop this scourge of violence in our communities. And that has everything to do with controlling the flow of guns. And I'm very uncomfortable with Senator Sanders' relationship with the NRA and where he has been as a voting senator, voting 5 times against the Brady bill. So I believe I owe these families that I work with every day that are struggling and surviving, just surviving, not thriving. I owe them real solutions to real problems. I can't tell a mom on Blue Hill Avenue for the problem that ails her that as soon as we get campaign finance reform done, I'm coming for her. So I thought long and hard about this because I have a responsibility, to myself, to my name, to the integrity of what I do, and to the 60,000 people that have elected me. But I do just want to say this because there's been a lot of vitriolic exchanges in social media. And I think Killer Mike, said it best, who was a surrogate for Senator Sanders. Black people, brown people, at the end of the day, this is about our freedom, whoever you vote for. This is about social and economic justice and our freedom. So just participate. I applaud and commend anyone who is participating, who is showing up for themselves, for their communities, and the issues that they care most about. So I hope that you will seriously consider casting a vote for Secretary Clinton today. The most important thing is simply to vote.
Absolutely. We are on the line currently with City Councilor at Large, Ayanna Presley. We're talking about civic engagement today, getting out to vote, finding your time throughout the day to get out and vote. We currently have 2 callers on the line. Really quickly, thank you for your patience. Caller, you are live.
Hello?
Hi, yes, it's you, darling.
Oh my God, 20 minutes to get on the Tayla Andre show, and I don't have my raspy voice. Well, good morning. This has been an inspiring way to wake up. I have to say that I woke up totally undecided as to who was going to get my vote. I'm working on a project called Determined Divas, which is all about civic engagement and making sure that our communities get connected beyond the election so that we recognize that our elected officials are accountable to us, do answer to us, work with us, work for us. And so this morning, it's just been great to hear all of these amazing women out here who are holding it down for our community. So thank you, Tayla, for hosting the show. Thank you, City Councilor Ayanna Presley and Senator Chang Diaz for all of the work that you're doing. But I wanted to quickly go back to a caller a few hours ago who mentioned the fact that women are only going to vote for Hillary because they're women. Well, as a woman who woke up this morning undecided, I think I have to really look at the bigger picture. We're not voting just because of gender. We're voting for a bigger cause. And I think that when people just want to dismiss the women vote just because it's about a gender, it really undermines the commitment and the intelligence and the power that women bring to this conversation. So I just want to absolutely. And I want to say one more thing is that the other caller talked about that some folks are in bed with big government or big banks or whatever the case is, but ultimately we cannot forget the power that we have in terms of being involved in the civic process. So our candidates do have a responsibility to ensure that they represent their people. And the moment that we stop losing the faith in our own ability to make change, that is when we have given power over to another candidate. So regardless of where you're at in terms of voting, the important thing is to go out and do it. And I'm so proud of you, Ayana. I was at that trauma meeting last night, and it was great to see you there representing. And these are the sort of things that our community needs to see more of, is our elected officials in places like the way you come out and support the work that's happening on the ground level. I'm not going to hog up the time, but I will tell everybody to go out and vote. I will be out there. Now I have a better idea as to who I'm going to cast my vote for. So thank you for today's show. And that's all I got to say, Tayla. You know I love you, boo.
Thank you so much. Love and appreciate you as well. Ms. Presley, is there anything you want to touch on? Absolutely. Go ahead.
I just want to say a couple of things. So completely agree. Let's not insult the intelligence of voters, of women voters. If it is acceptable for people to say, if it's not acceptable for someone to say you shouldn't vote for someone, just because, they're a woman. I mean, it's really just a double standard there. We took great pride. Many people said they were voting for Barack Obama because he was black. I mean, just to give you some context, it's been 230 years, okay? 230 years. So Hillary Clinton would be the first female president in the United States of America. And it's not lost on me that for my 7-year-old stepdaughter, who on her own decided she is supporting Secretary Clinton, that in her lifetime, that she will see an African-American president. And if I have anything to do with it, the first female president of these United States of America. To those, smiling brown faces filled with promise from Mother Caroline Academy that we were with yesterday, this means a lot to a lot of people. I want to say that I would not make a decision solely based on gender. I support anyone that sees me and names me. And this is a candidate that I felt saw me and named me. And by me, I mean girls. That when she talks about the school to prison pipeline and replacing that with cradle to career strengthened opportunities, and when she talks about reentry, she doesn't just talk about boys and men. She named girls. The fact that she on her own said, I will make human trafficking a criminal justice issue. That deeply resonates me, that, every step of the way, that she has been a champion for girls and women worldwide. And that matters to me. But the real sticking point for me is violence. And her commitment to stop this scourge of violence and the flow of guns into our communities. And her holistic and comprehensive approach to improve the conditions of our communities. And she's not only doubling down on the pain. I do want someone that sees the pain and wants to mitigate it and wants to address the pain that comes from these injustices and these inequities, and will name them as racial injustices and inequities and social and political, but who also sees the promise in our community and has an aspirational vision in that regard by investing in early ed and education, by investing $5 billion in reentry to ensure that when people get a second chance, they can reach their full potential. By her investment in historically black colleges and universities, most of which are private universities. So when Senator Sanders says that he wants free college for everyone, what does that mean for our historically black colleges and universities that are already dying on the vine? And we have many alumni here in Boston who are graduates of Spelman and Morehouse who are making tremendous contributions to our city, our commonwealth, and our country. And I want those schools to continue to be successful. And finally, I think an incredible demonstration of her leadership is in response to the crisis in Flint, Michigan.
I love her as a speaker. She's probably one of my favorite speakers, Miss Ayanna Presley.
It didn't matter that she went there. She didn't only call. She didn't just, say the governor should resign. She said, no, we should hold this governor responsible for their vile and egregious crime. This is environmental racism. This is an environmental justice issue. And she said, we're going to make sure these families get the resources and support they need, not just donated bottled water. We're talking about children that have been poisoned by lead. They will be dealing with these issues for generations to come. And the fact that she went there and spent time with those families and, has lobbied Congress to ensure that they get the emergency funds and investments necessary to set Flint on the right path means a great deal to me.
One last question coming from a caller. Good rising, caller, you're live.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Super fantastic. Speak up for me, darling.
Okay. I find it ironic. It is the first day of Women's History Month. You got two women telling their constituents to vote for the woman who's married to a rapist.
So this is Mr. Nubian on the line, Miss Ayanna Presley, and I don't know if you heard his comment or not.
Thank you for calling in. And it sounds like you've already made up your mind who you're voting for, and I'm just glad that you're participating. So, your activism.
That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. So we are coming to the top of the hour. I want to thank all of the callers. I want to thank all of the listeners. I do want to thank everybody who participated in this conversation. Hopefully, hopefully this is a positive contribution to the show. Good rising, caller, you're live.
Good morning. Yes, I'm talking about that man. Talk about
So your phone is breaking up right now, and I'm sorry that we missed your comment about Miss Clinton. One of the things that I would like to do is the conversation doesn't end at 7 a.m. Just because the show ends at 7 a.m. doesn't mean the conversation ends at 7 a.m. Please continue this conversation amongst yourself. Please continue this conversation with your family, with your children. Today is very important for us. And I think, we had two dynamic women on the air today talking about why it's important for your civic engagement, why it's important for you to get out and vote. At the end of the day, I really don't care who you vote for, darling. If you want to vote for Hillary, you want to vote for Bernie, you want to vote for Donald, that is your right as an American citizen to vote for who you want to vote for. But I just hope and I pray that you use that right and get out to vote. Miss Ayanna Presley, City Councilor at Large for Boston, Massachusetts. Would you like to say anything to close us out?
Just thanks for the platform and thanks for everything you do to keep the community informed and connected. Again, the polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. Please do just show up and show out and participate. It's your duty and you're right.
Absolutely. How can we reach you, Ms. Presley, if we have any questions as constituents? How can we get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So again, I just was recently reelected to a fourth term, thanks to many of you for the third time topping the ticket. I hope that's a testament to the good work I've been doing to stabilize our families and to build healthier communities. I chair the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities. I work on poverty, violence, and trauma, and I fight for women and girls. If you have any issues in those areas or anything else, you can reach me at 617-635-4217, 617-635-4217. And then in terms of election today, as Senator Chang Diaz said, if you're not sure where you vote, you can go to Where Do I Vote Massachusetts, and you can also call City Hall, City of Boston election, 617-635-4000.
Thank you so much, Miss Ayanna Presley, City Councilor at Large, Big City 101.3 FM, Waking Up with Tayla Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. I felt like today slipped through our fingers because I don't even know where the time went as far as today is concerned. But I do thank you. And thank you for your engagement. Mr. Nubian, Lord have mercy. I can't wait for tomorrow because he's going all the way in tomorrow. I can feel it. As far as today is concerned, again, if you missed any of today's conversation, please head over to mixcloud.com, TaylaAndre. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you guys have an awesome day today. Big City.
What it is DJ Sus One, the feature presentation. Listen, make sure you wake up with Tayla Andre Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 a.m. on Big City 101.3 FM. Wake up with the Radio Rebel. Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. This is the type of stuff I'm into, all right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go. 32 to 101.3 FM. don't touch that dime. Think of the big city, everything locked down.
Okay, so Tayla, why the hell did you have two women for Women's Month on air talking about a damn Hillary Clinton, talking about getting out to vote for this broad? And if you were listening to Mr. Nubian, he said on the first day of Women's Month, we had two females that represent the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, one in the city, city councilor at large, Ayanna Pressley, and one in the Senate, Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, and voting for a woman whose husband raped men, according to Mr. Nubian, raped a woman. According to Mr. Nubian. Let me just say publicly and privately, you guys know I'm voting for Bernie. Bernie is so fucking radical. He is exactly what the country needs to shake things up a whole lot. For me, Hillary Clinton represents the same old bullshit. But I do understand where both Senator Sonia Chang Diaz as well as City Councilor Ayanna Pressley are coming from as far as her getting shit done, being able to listen, the phone lines are going crazy. People about to cuss me out. Hello, good rising. Hold on 1 minute, baby. Hold on one moment. Hello, good rising.
I was just wondering if you was going to put on a CD like you did yesterday.
You want me? What did you want me to play, baby?
Anything. Yesterday was fine. That would be so nice if you could do that, because most of the time I just turn it off, and sometimes I don't turn it back on. But at least because we don't have mail anymore, and it's kind of nice just to have anything on. You play whatever you play, it's nice, and instead of listening to the other stuff, and until Big City comes on. But I just love you. You're just such a rolling. You have the best show, and I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you so much, baby. Yeah. So I have no control over the music that's in the computer. Yesterday, the computer was down, and that's why I got to play what I wanted to play. So I apologize that you have to change the channel, and I really do miss Neil as well. Neil is probably undisputedly the best DJ the city has to offer.
The days that you do have control, if you can play something, that would be nice. Because sometimes I forget to put it back on, and then he doesn't play nothing. I mean, Val, he talks, but he doesn't play nothing, and his conversations are nothing like yours. So I kind of get, if it doesn't move me, I get bored quick. So
I thank you, my love. In the future, I'll try and play a few songs before I leave. But today the computer's already taken over.
Okay, thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
You as well, my love. Yes, sir?
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Yeah, today was a real good conversation. I usually call in all the time, and I didn't get a chance to get through the line today. But I have the question. The two young ladies' comments about Senator Clinton. So I grew up in an area where there was very racial tensions between blacks moving into areas of white. So we have old neighbors that were racist. Now, how does that change over time? How do they change over time? They don't stop becoming racist because now that they're old and they have black people living in the neighborhood, they still have that same type of mind frame. So my thing to you is that how is Hillary Clinton changing from her comments? Now that we're just looking out to help out women, she's kind of particularly talking about white women. So we have this thing where a lot of these black women equate Hillary Clinton to womanhood. They're not. There's a difference between white feminism and black feminism.
Yeah. So today
they don't correlate together.
So today I am not equipped enough to debate two women who have both been in politics longer than I've been out of school. And so today was the day that two representatives of the Commonwealth spoke their piece on where they stand. Tayla voices her opinion every day, all day. So today was the day that I took a back seat and try to understand the rhetoric and try to understand the mindset of those that control our city and state and why they are now gunning for this woman that has absolutely no interest in us. So today, I need to sit and I need to digest on what was said, and I need to do a little bit of my own due diligence. And tomorrow, I promise, we are going to piggyback off of today's conversation, and a lot of voices that were unable to be heard today will be heard tomorrow. So I do completely understand where Mr. Nubian is coming from. I understand where you're coming from, and I can't tell you the amount of backlash that is already coming through my Facebook, because I should have shut down both Senator Sonia Chang Diaz as well as City Councilor at Large Ayanna Pressley. But I do. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't question Sonia Chang Diaz and her election, how she got elected. All that, how that went about it is questionable too. Now, Ayanna Pressley, I did my research on her. I voted for her. I think next election time come around, I'm changing my mind. Oh yeah, I'm changing my mind, because you can't elect people based off of gender, and then you're saying gender, but you're not equating the black women. So therefore, you tell me not only are you voting for this lady because it's a woman thing, but she might not include you as a black woman. She might include you personally because you have a personal relationship with her. But what happened to the black men and the black women? I'm not voting for just for girls and women like she said she was. What about the black men, and what about the black women? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not going to just vote for people they say, oh, well, she's looking for ladies' interests, women and girls.
Yeah.
It is only strictly women. And when you're talking about women, and we had this, we was Hillary Clinton, all the black women got raped by that police officer. When did she speak out against women that was being targeted and trafficked and being raped by that white cop? I ain't in a press conference about that.
So one of the things, so City Councilor at Large Ayanna Pressley just sent me a text message, and she wants to listen tomorrow for the backlash that's coming through. So tomorrow, please be I don't even think I'm going to go ahead and cover news, because we do have a guest tomorrow. So from 5:30 to 6, instead of covering news, I think we're going to go ahead, and this is going to be the news that we're going to cover. Today's conversation is going to be what we cover from 5:30 to 6, and then from 6 to 7, we'll go ahead and have our guest.
Okay, I gotta be great, because I gotta, and I'm gonna be professional. I'm gonna be courteous, but she's don't sit there and stare at the people, because you know what? I have a problem with voting today. I have to choose a lesser of evil. I'm not saying Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton, but I have to choose a lesser of evil in order to say, listen, I voted. He didn't do what he's supposed to do. Obama didn't do what he's supposed to do. The only thing he did that was black.
Hold on one moment. Hold on one moment.
He does nothing for black men, black women. He did everything for people who were homosexuals, who were not black. So with that said, I will call it tomorrow, and I'm gonna let him have it. I'm gonna let her have it.
So tomorrow, this is what we'll cover all of this tomorrow. We'll discuss all of this. I'll let everybody have, I don't know, we'll do 45 seconds a person to get it all out, because I get it. I get it. And I think a lot of people feel like, based on the messages that I'm getting, a lot of people feel like it's a smack in the face, one coming from a Latino and another coming from a black woman, for them to be supporting Miss Clinton. So I thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Big City 101.3 FM, Waking Up with Tayla Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. Mwah. Hey, darling.